Howdy heckin' whoa, H2Os, Roller Bros, Hina-Hinas, and Oni-chans alike. I'm your guide Q. Welcome to a very special edition of Neckbeard Stories. This is an extremely close encounter with a very intense weeaboo neckbeard, and I just gotta share it with you guys. Come on, let's get into it. Also, just a warning before we get into this story, there are some details here that might be disturbing to some people involving some super sensitive topics, so just be careful. Viewer discretion is definitely advised on this video. This story comes from an anonymous subscriber that submitted their story to qsubs@gmail.com. My submissions email, that's cuesubs@gmail.com. When I was 14, I lived in Asia and was involved in the Japanese community, which consisted of cosplaying, dancing, performing covers of Japanese bands, or original songs inspired by Japanese artists, etc. I will happily admit that I was quite the weeb and did a bit of cosplaying. My signature outfits were, and forgive me for butchering these names, Amane Misa from Death Note and Rana Ryugu from Higurashi When They Cry, and was also in a band where I dressed like a gothic Lolita doll and sang. I had a pretty big group of friends, and even though I was the youngest and they were all over 18, they were super protective of me and never did anything inappropriate. I was the little sister of the group and kind of like a mascot. The band I joined was quite popular in the Japanese community, and I ended up having a small fan base, which was awesome for young me. One day after a performance, one of my friends introduced me to a friend of his, let's call him Double D, who was new to this city's Japanese community. I got talking to Double D, and he seemed like a really nice person, albeit a bit odd. He was 23 and a cross between a neckbeard and a weeaboo, with a scruffy neckbeard, greasy shoulder-length hair, and a big t-shirt with a provocative lolly on it. He was also quite chubby, which I have no problem with, chubby guys rule, and always slouched really bad. He kept complimenting my outfit, which consisted of a black and white dress with a big poofy skirt and a black wig with curly pigtails. I looked like a gothic Lolita doll, and staring at me in a way that made me feel a bit uneasy. When it was time for me to leave, he asked for my number, and I was too polite to say no. After we first met, he texted me frequently. At first, I actually enjoyed talking to him because we enjoyed the same kind of anime. The only area we differed on was that I liked gory anime, whereas he liked lolis. However, he wasn't interested in anything apart from the Japanese community, and whenever I tried to talk about something else, he'd ignore it and keep talking about weeb stuff. He was legitimately obsessed with anime and manga. He began to get paranoid if I didn't reply straight away, and would keep asking if I was mad at him if I didn't reply within like 2 minutes, and it began to get tiresome. He also kept asking about my boyfriend at the time. He was from school and wasn't into anime or manga, and kept hinting that my boyfriend wasn't good for me because he wasn't in the Japanese community. Eventually, my boyfriend and I broke up, and when I changed my relationship status on Facebook, Double D immediately messaged me saying that he was sorry to hear it, but that I deserved someone that shared my interests. One day, he messaged me and said that a few of my friends were going to the local mall to get sushi and go to the arcade. Those were the days. We would eat super cheap but great quality sushi, then play DDR and para for hours, and I agreed. When I got to the mall, he was the only one there. He said that the others were held up by traffic, which was understandable, traffic was always awful there, and that they said we could go ahead and have lunch, they'd catch up with us later. I accepted this, and we went for lunch. This is when things started going downhill. As we waited for our food to arrive, he said that he was disappointed that I was wearing normal clothes. Well, as normal as I could be. When I wasn't in gothic Lolita or visual Kai outfits, I dressed in a casual mix of goth and metalhead, and that I should have put more effort into dressing for our date. Confused, I told him I thought we were just hanging out with friends, and he laughed it off and told me he was just joking. After a moment of silence, he tried to make a conversation by asking me if I liked Miyabi. Thinking that he meant the amazing rock singer, I enthusiastically spoke about how much I loved Miyabi's music and his style. Check him out, his song Selfish Love is an absolute classic. Double D cut me off and said that he meant the adult film star Miyabi. I awkwardly told him that I didn't know who that was, and reiterated that I was 14 years old. Now keep in mind, this dude that she's talking to is 23. This didn't deter him, as he showed me some pictures of Miyabi in skimpy bikinis on his phone. She was gorgeous, but I felt incredibly uncomfortable as the outfits became more and more revealing. He then told me that she was half white and half Asian, just like me, and said that I looked similar to her. She's way prettier than me, but we did share a similar hairstyle. He then asked me me if I liked hentai. I told him I didn't know what that was, and to my dismay, he moved his chair beside me and began talking non-stop about what hentai was. He told me his favorite genre was lolicon and showed me some examples on his phone. I felt sick because the girls in the picture were children being penetrated by inhumanly large appendages, and some of the pictures depicted outright incest. I told him I wasn't feeling well and wanted to leave, but he insisted on showing me a new shop selling anime merch and models that had just opened. Idiot me wanted to be polite, so once we paid the bill, we left. I tried to keep some distance between us, but he kept inching closer and closer. We reached a part of the mall that was under construction, and because the mall was absolutely massive, he said there was a shortcut to the shop through there. I told him I just wanted to go home, but he grabbed my hand and said, "Come on, it'll only take a minute," and pulled me through the door in the makeshift barrier. The second we were out of view, he shoved me against the wall and kissed me. I phrase it like that because it was all tongue and teeth, and he cut my lip. I tried to push him away and demanded what the hell he was doing. In response, he tried to push his lips against mine again as he started groping me so hard that he left bruises. He might not have been super muscular, but he was 5 inches taller and nearly 100 pounds heavier than me. I was absolutely terrified and tried to fight back, only for him to say something along the lines of, "Good, I like it when you struggle." I fought back even harder, feeling pure panic and fear building up, which he seemed to legitimately enjoy. I don't know how I did this, but as he began to try and take my clothes off, I miraculously managed to escape him and ran. I don't know how I did this, but as he began to try and take my clothes off, I miraculously managed to escape from him and ran. When I got home, I checked my phone and saw several notifications from my friends, all of them asking what had happened with Double D. Confused, I checked his account and saw that he had written a post and said that I had hurt him and abandoned him on our date. Upset and infuriated, I wanted to confront him publicly, but I knew that I couldn't because I didn't want my family and friends seeing my response to his status. Full disclosure, I am leaving out one section of what the author wrote here, but that's because they said that section was specifically for me. It's not exactly relevant to what happened throughout the timeline of this story. It's just background information about them, so just wanted to let you guys know that. I told all my friends in the community about what had happened and how he had shown me straight up adult films and then tried to force himself on me and stopped using social media for a few days as I tried to get over what had happened. Later, I learned that a few of my male friends confronted Double D. At first, Double D told them that it was all consensual and that we had slept together, but I told him I didn't want to be in a relationship. Eventually, he admitted that we didn't do anything intimate together and that I did fight back, but he tried to justify it by saying that he thought I was role-playing. My friends beat the crap out of him, and we never saw him at any community events after that. This is absolutely disgusting, and I'm so glad that, like, nothing super bad happened to you physically on that day, and I hope that you're recovering, like, emotionally and mentally. I'm super happy this dude got the crap beat out of him because he 100% deserved it, and he also deserves legal repercussions. Like, if you could report this to the police, that would be amazing. And I mean, you didn't really have any way of knowing that this dude was super weird before you hung out with him that day, but just for other people in, like, future situations, if somebody that you don't really know that well, like, invites you to a thing with friends, like, try and confirm with those friends that they're also coming, because I feel like I've heard this situation of, like, inviting someone to a party, or inviting someone to a group get-together, and then nobody else is there other than the guy who's interested in you. I feel like this happens a decent amount. Also, I just want to make my opinions very clear. I think anyone that is interested in, like, lolly or loli, whatever that sort of, like, anime adult films or artwork is concerned, anybody who's creating that should be arrested for, like, you know, being a predator, and anyone who is consuming that sort of media should also be arrested for being in possession of strange materials. Like, that's not okay. This dude should be, like, wearing an ankle monitor and stuff. I don't think that stuff's acceptable. I think that it's a major red flag, and it shouldn't just be, like, accepted as, like, oh yeah, she's 1,000 years old or some stupid thing like that. Like, those are clearly depictions of children. Regardless, I'm glad you're okay, and I really hope that Double D can't do anything like this ever again, but I don't know. I just hope there are some consequences for him. Like, god damn it. On a lighter note, the huge collaboration I was working on with Crimson Studios and Nick Diorio is almost ready and should be released on Crimson Studios' channel this Saturday. I will leave a link to his channel in the comments down below so you can get subscribed to him, turn notifications on so that you're ready for when that video drops. I've got like an 18-minute section in that video. This is like a full Q-Star video. I already said this in my gatekeeping video. This is like a full Q-Star video inside of a Crimson Studio video with a Nick Diorio in the middle. So it's pretty good stuff. I can't wait to show you guys that thing. So yeah, I hope you guys are doing well out there. Please do your best to stay safe, skate on to the best of your abilities, make sure you're drinking more water, and I'll see you very soon.